kind of looked like Harris was on the set of the old Oprah show. She was answering these questions. These are friendly questions. It's not an interview because remember, it's an official campaign event. So whatever Oprah asked was pre-approved, pre-done. Harris knew what she was getting, but yet still, even in that setting. So, I mean, whether or not you think she did good in the debate because she was a prosecutor memorizing basically every line, not answering the questions, sticking with kind of the legal strategy of, I don't care what's asked at these appellate courts as a prosecutor or anyone else. I'm gonna respond with my 4 biggest points always. So I keep driving those home. That doesn't always work in interview settings on policy, but this one wasn't about that.
I'm a gun owner. Tim Walz is a gun.
I did not know that.
If somebody breaks in my house, they're getting shot.
Yes, I hear that.
Probably should not have said that.
But
my staff will deal with that later.
Yeah.
The idea that the American people cannot be trusted with firearms, that's the Democrats' main policy.
Well, and I also think what is bizarre about that clip is that what you don't see when you're talking to conservatives and people that believe in a strong Second Amendment is them laughing about shooting people.
No.
That the whole cackle and laugh and the crowd laughing with her is like, maybe there are some people that should not own guns. It's people that are making light of having to defend yourself against an intruder in your home.
And listen,
that is not something to just joke about and laugh at.
The majority of gun owners, especially gun owners who are not enthusiasts or hunters, usually have a handgun. And the reason why is because if their home was invaded while they're there, they want to be able to protect their family. It's a simple weapon. It's not something that you see used in a lot of these other horrible events. But typically, they want to start with rifles and then move on from there. I mean, the gun-free zones that they would love to declare all over the country, not just in the places that, make sense. So when I look at that, I also think, well, if she said it seriously and didn't say, I shouldn't have said that, that could have actually been, like you said, that could have actually been a point that was popular in the Midwest.
Right.
That people in the Midwest would say, she kind of does think like me. She's not as bad on this as I thought. But by making a joke of it and said, you know what, now my campaign is going to have to cover up and said I misspoke.
Right, and I think that's the problem too. Is that how she's going to lead? Is say something proverbially shoot first, ask questions later. Say something and then have your staff handle that after the fact.
The tone she used and the way she ended it, I think, was the most bizarre and destructive part of that answer. I think if she had just stuck with it, said it seriously, like, yeah, I'm a gun owner because I want to protect my family, and as a prosecutor probably had to carry a gun, so I know how to do it. And if someone enters my home, I know that I've got that safety. Not laughing about it and then like almost apologizing for it, and then saying, you know what, which I think this is a preview, Rick, of the entire what a Harris administration would look like is, my staff will clean it up.
Yeah, look, I think the reality is that she is the panderer in chief. She'll change her talking point to say, I'm going to shoot somebody who comes into my home, and then, immediately say, because the base she knows is not going to be happy. I've seen this all over social media. Her base is not happy, where she says, I probably shouldn't have said that. This is absolutely typical Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. They want to pander when it's 2 months, 3 months before an election to pretend like they're, not against fracking anymore. But the reality is that Kamala has spent her entire life trying to deny and mock gun ownership. And so the idea that she suddenly has a gun, if we had a real press corps, somebody would say, when did you get the gun? What kind? Where did you go through training? Like, there's a whole bunch of questions that we need to be asking. But she just issues press releases, and our media just regurgitate the press release and act like this is somehow vetting. She is unvetted. She's been unvetted since she came to California.
She realized in that moment that she represents a party that doesn't like hearing that people, there's a chunk of people that don't like hearing that the candidate would even have a gun themselves, that would be wrong or somehow against the party platform. She's trying to appeal to middle America, that she thinks you have to, the lessers, I guess, because, if you don't live on the East or West Coast. So she'll say, well, I own a gun, so I'm just like you. Except for when she talks about it inside a group that is friendly to her, she laughs about it, makes a joke about it because she realizes she's in a group that, like her policy positions, usually demonizes gun owners, Will. And I mean, that's the true issue. But it didn't get better for her.
That's right.
In this, and again, I've got to remind you, if you're watching this, you might be thinking, oh, she did another interview and she did it with Oprah. So that would be a lot of softballs anyway. But this was a campaign event where Oprah was just kind of like the MC. So she had everything prepared. Harris had everything, knew exactly what the questions would be, and still has not become the Harris that we saw in that one debate.
Look, let's be clear. Whether or not she decided to announce her gun ownership 7 weeks or 8 weeks, a week earlier, either way, it's political. I'm a Californian. I did not know this about her. She should have been clear about this a long time ago. But if we had a press corps, we would know when did she get the gun? When did she go through training? When did she get her permit? All of these issues are important. But I think, if Mike's point is we should be happy that she owns a gun, I am. But I just find it very suspect that she all of a sudden is doing this 8 weeks before an election when she has her entire career mocked us and worked against the Second Amendment, her entire career.
A question from the audience: what specific steps will you be taking to strengthen the border? And her answer is, I take very seriously the importance of having a secure border. What? There's no specifics there. Once again, this is something that she has been pressed on for the entirety of her very short campaign, and they still can't give one specific
time as VP, because she was the border czar, and yet no specifics on what they're going to do to stem the tide of illegal immigration. Either she just doesn't want to tell us the policy because it's so liberal and so leftist, it's basically let everybody come in, so she just won't answer.
That's right. And that's what we're seeing over and over again.
Wait and see what I do.
Well, and I think she's afraid that if she were to say something, she'd also have to follow it up with, I'll have to have my staff fix that later. How are you going to bring down the cost of living is to say, I'm going to bring down the cost of living.
But how? That's the only reason. That's the only thing people want to hear. They don't want to hear that you want to do it. I would hope that every American politician, regardless of what party you're a part of or no party, or every American would want to make it easier for their fellow Americans to purchase what they need and to be able to move into the next, to become middle class or even to go past that, have that opportunity. But you got to tell them how you're going to get them there. You can't just tell them, I want to get them there and we will get them there if there's no policy behind it. And right now, what's clear is that the Harris team, whether it's the website or how she gives interviews, they have no policies. They have no core white papers on how they think they could get us there in 4 years or 6 years or 8 years even. I mean, that to me too, Will, it's kind of like a slap in the face of the American people. She's acting like they're that stupid.